Episode 6, Two Trainers Podcast. Hello.
Hey everyone.
What's going on?
So it's Saturday.
Yep, absolutely. Great day.
Yeah.
Looking nice.
Yeah.
Episode 6, Two Trainers Podcast. Scott Salling, Liz Naccarato. Liz Naccarato, Scott Salling. You know, make it nice even, Steven.
First question of the day, what shoes are you wearing?
Kick it off. Not going to find these in Canada. You got some Miami, got these down in South
I was
Beach.
going to say very South Beach.
Nike Miami floral Vans style slip-ons. I like them. Truth be told, I've gotten 10 years ago. This is probably the first time I've worn them.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're not that comfortable.
They look terrible. For flat feet, this is not recommended for flat feet. Or sorry, for high arch feet,
Yeah,
it's
high
not
arch
recommended,
folk,
right?
Exactly. I'm just going to stay like this all podcast.
No, you're going to put them down. Put them down.
Oh, my bad. Right. Cool. What do you got going?
I'm not wearing anything fancy. I'm wearing
Egg whites.
I'm wearing white booties because it's the only time I get to wear them dressed up in this pandemic, so I wanted to
Dangerous.
wear them. I think they're called shit kickers, aren't they?
Oh.
I think females call them shit kickers because they're pointy, so you can literally kick the shit out of someone.
Probably.
So that's what we're doing.
They look a little lethal.
Yeah, they would
They
definitely
look like
hurt
something
someone.
you could wear at that all-white
Boat party.
gala.
The all-white boat party or
The
whatever it
all-white
is.
gala.
No, I feel like very spring today, so, you know.
Yeah, it's a good nice day. Chilly, though.
Oh my gosh, it's so cold. Freezing.
Tried to shoot hoops after work there, and it just was not having it.
And windy.
Like,
I
oh, yeah.
left my house in a little lacy thing, and I was like, I can't leave like this.
Yeah, no, that was. We had the doors open today at work from
Terrible idea.
7:30 in the morning until noon.
Yeah, and we had the heat on the whole time. That's why our hydro bill is so big.
My Lulu Lycra spandex were not enough. So
Got worse
tough.
spandex. So in Vancouver today, actually, an hour ago, they were doing that peaceful protest, I guess.
Yeah, I love the word peaceful.
Well, there's actually two, but what we're interested in right now is
I love the word peaceful. It justifies.
We're having a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
But I guess it's the small business or small BC business or save small BC business. I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
But
Should I check on Insta? Well, I don't have my phone. Sorry.
no, it's okay. I kind of find it funny. I'll ask your opinion on
Small
it first.
Business BC. It's on Instagram. You guys can check it out. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's,
so a couple people we know in there. But what are your thoughts on this silent protest to save BC businesses with what's ever going on without going to COVID and stuff like that? Because I had I said something to my clients today. I'm like X, Y, and Z. So I want to hear yours first. What do you think about it?
It's just such a tough situation, right? I mean, it's. Obviously we sympathize with so many business owners because they pour there's a lot of people that pour their blood, sweat, and tears, and they're not just investing into a franchise just to do. So I mean, it's hard to watch people obviously not be able to operate and stay open, and you see the anguish that they go through. But it's so tough. It's a confusing time, right? And it's sympathize obviously big time. I hope I'm not surprised because what else are you going to do? Now people are kind of being pushed to this point of the frustration has boiled over, and this is what you're going to see is a lot of this, right? So
But do you believe it's going to do anything? Do you think that people are going to listen? Do you think the government's
I don't
going
know.
to care?
Nowadays, back in the day, when at UBC, there was always be a lot of protests and a lot of. I talked to one of the director one time because there was a significant protest. I think it was about something on Wreck Beach. I can't recall, but. And I just said, what do you guys usually do in this situation? I was like a student, right? And he's like, yeah, we just wait for the bad weather. And he just had said that, once the rain kind of hits in, then you see it kind of clear out. But will it be effective? And I don't know. Now everything's changing so much and so fast, and there's a lot of infrastructure's changing. ICBC's changing. So, if you don't speak up, then it definitely won't change. Mm-hmm. So, you're kind of... You'd have to. My question is, what would you do if we were in this situation? Would you go down there if we were? No.
I'll tell you what I did, and I told a couple of girls this morning that I trained. I said, instead of going down there and protesting, I would find ways to connect with the people in my business or my employers or anything like that in the small business, and trying to make a change or become better at my job. Mm-hmm. I know there's nothing you can do when your business is completely shut down, but there's things you can do.
Yep.
To make your business stand out rather than peaceful protest.
So you think it's kind of hopeless to protest?
I don't think. They're going to keep you shut down. You're going to get the fines. They're going to boycott you, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Or people are going to support you. I don't think a protest in this silent protest or what any kind of protest is, and I've seen the people online doing it. I know who they are, and it's like
You don't know everybody. We know a couple
I know a
people.
couple people. That's a lie. I know a couple people doing it. It's just like, what is your
Well,
purpose
we
with
know
doing it?
well we know a couple people who were vocal on social media about being anti-protocols.
Yes.
Anti-mask protocols, and basically stating publicly that their business wasn't going to partake in any type of COVID protocol. So it's funny to see that person there
Yes.
being so vocal, which again, like obviously I understand, but like I said, it's interesting to see somebody who was anti-protocol. They've been so vocal about not like complying now that they're shut down, and now they're at the, so it's, I'm not saying that's everybody, because again, there's a lot of small business owners, man,
Totally.
who pour
And
their blood, like I
yep,
said,
I agree.
there's people who this is their last kick at the cat. Like this is one more shutdown and especially because it's almost indefinite. You're not quite sure as to when it's gonna reopen up for them, and this could be their last kick at the cat. People were really stressed, like if that's the first few. I mean, there's been a handful of announcements, right? So we've been super fortunate to go through this entire situation, only be on the original lockdown, because we were able to just with one-on-one personal training has been able to evade the restrictions, right? So we've been extremely fortunate. So we've been able to get ahead and invest and save and build our build our finances up to strengthen our business, where these people are having it completely taken away. Right? Like it's just,
and they have employers and they pay as well.
They
Like
haven't been able to
it's
get
a lot.
ahead at
But
all.
I
right?
think that there are, I mean, I know people are frustrated, and I know other things like that, but even in like a restaurant industry, for say that's been shut down, I think something that I would preferably do is kind of find a way that I can give back to the community in a sense, in order to make my small business
trying
stand
to be
out.
proactive
Right?
in
I think
some
I'd be
regard,
proactive versus, and again, I say and think, right? Because I know restaurants are affected and it is still dear to my heart, but I think I would try to be proactive instead of reactive in a silent protest, because I just don't think a silent protest
Peaceful
is going to do anything.
protest.
Sorry, peaceful protest, right? And I think that I would rather make my restaurant stand out, like maybe donations, maybe take them and make sandwiches masked up and like take them to downtown east side, like things like that, because the product's going to waste.
We're not overly sure on who's there, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
know, like I haven't talked to
It was just very interesting seeing it last night, right?
Yeah, like it's interesting. It's like I said, all we want to do is just see people thrive and get back in the game, right? But I mean, COVID, what it's done is, and from a business perspective, it's really brought forth. You have to. It's shone a light on your business model. It's shone a light to see where was it conducive. I was talking to like an old business coach previously, and it said like you have to look at all angles of what can destroy your business and everything that can possibly happen, whether it's innovation, a competitor, an earthquake, like all these different things. And the pandemic, is one, as crazy, is obviously one of them. And you get to see, are you going to be part of this, push of the neck? We don't know what's going to stick, what's going to create. So, businesses, it's crazy. It's a crazy ride. But yeah, anyway, anything else that?
No, I was just wondering your thoughts on that. That's all.
Yeah, there's a lot. Obviously, it's like I said, it's been a heck of a ride for all business people, and whether you're doing well or not, it's wears on you in some capacity, right? So it's not but it's a good like test of your business chops. There's no doubt about it. Like this is a hell of a stress test, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like I said, when your business model gets put under these types of looks, like there's gonna be things that don't make it. A lot of things don't make it. This is just a stress test. Like this is like pressure makes diamonds kind of thing.
Yep, and I mean, you read
So-
those books, those entrepreneur books, and people that have like, ran businesses, and a lot of them have failed, right? So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
this
Yeah,
can
failure's
add to your story, or this could be the end of your story, right? And it's
100%.
like, you got to figure out, and it's a question I have for
100%.
you today, which leads into this, you got to figure out your why, your reason, your purpose for being in business.
Yeah.
And if it is bigger than life itself,
just about-
you will
If it's
survive.
just about money, you'll fail.
You'll fail. But if you survive and you think of the bigger picture, so if you're a small business owner and you're like, okay, my purpose, my reason, or why, is it bigger than life? Can I overcome this? And what can I do to help myself in this pandemic situation?
Yeah, because it's like a tsunami. Like
Yeah. It's like an earthquake. Like,
in,
it's
in
like,
conventional business, let's say certain business success, where they talk about how important location is. It don't matter where you're
no,
located.
I agree with it. Look at us, like, right? Everyone's like, it was so hard to find you, but now it's easy. It's like, that's the
location
number
in
one thing they say.
Yeah, location in a pandemic is not necessarily going to give you the edge. Like
No.
adaptability is going to give you the edge, where how you were set up
Yep.
before the pandemic is going to give you the edge, whether you were thinking ahead in the future in some capacity. Some people are more intuitive with it. Some people can do it tactically, through mentors and coaches, but there was a lot of things that how you are in the pandemic was completely set up before the way you were in a pandemic. And now that was a crazy thing. But like business models, like I said, are people are trimming the fat in businesses in all industries and saying like, hey, do we need this cost? Not really. Well, let's take the money of that and double down on this area here. So yeah, it didn't matter where you were located. It just depended on how your systems were and what model you were running at that time. And nobody would have predicted it.
But it's funny because
Except for maybe Bill Gates.
I don't want to get into this more, but like some businesses, not most businesses, but will plan for like earthquake awareness. They'll plan for tsunamis, hurricanes. Like if you're living like,
can you put your business online with a flip
yeah,
of a
like
switch
it's like, but the pandemic was never that thing. So I see why, but like you have disaster recovery plans per se in your business, fires, earthquakes, all that kind of stuff. Living on, in Vancouver or whatever, it's like, can you apply any of those to a pandemic situation? That's what I would ask people. So
I don't even know.
But anyways, I'll move on from that.
No, it's all good. But it's fine. It's
Okay.
a good topic, right? It's just the luck of the draw in a lot of ways. Like for us, like how we've been fortunate is it was really just by personal preference and choice. Like I always like we talked. It's going to go into my first question with you is I personally just preferred personal training over group, and that's just me liking solo interaction over group interaction anyway.
In general,
so it's just the personality type of what was just something you turn into a business, and then hopefully that just works out for the better, right? Like, or it just worked out luckily because it just wasn't. It's not a focus on big groups. It's just focused on individual niches, right, and people.
Well, it goes into, and then this is my next question for you that'll lead into, this is perfect, is this goes into it. You created Fit Academy with a purpose and a reason. So why is that? I know why, but tell people why there is a reason. And
why the whole thing started?
Yeah, like why the whole thing started.
Well, for me, it was just simply development. It's just in our industry, I just saw that. I asked the question like, who's the number one developer and professionals in our industry? Like, and I'm asking that question like, who?
Oh.
Right? Where do you go to learn after your schooling? No, but like after your school,
Sorry.
where do you go that
Selfish plug over there. Yeah.
Where you can learn, develop, and grow, and that your next 5-year plan as a professional is going to be a positive one?
Honestly, for me, the only thing I relied on was going to other, and this is where we've talked about, going to other professionals. Like, that's why I went to LA. That's why I would try it out in Santa Monica, because I knew these professionals in Santa Monica and LA were the top of the top for group fitness, for spin, all that kind of stuff. So I was inspired by them. But here, I always said, I'm like, Vancouver had 0 group training. They didn't have a Barry's boot camp. They had 0 spin instructors that had that passion, that desire to actually teach. Whereas in like California, they did.
Yeah,
and that's why I went to California so much, because in BC there was nothing.
For me, from what I've seen in the industry, like either it's America, Canada, whatever, North America you call it, it's like I don't see a business that helps a trainer or a professional with a 5-year professional plan. No matter what state they're in, whether they're a student, whether after school, whether they just got certified, whether they've worked for someone else, and that's where I'm like, to me, that's what I want. I want that. I wanted that coming out of school, being like, hey, does anybody understand business here? Is anybody can learn like anything in a business regard from in the fitness industry? Yeah. And the answer to me was very, very, it was very challenging. And I was fortunate to land in a couple of good spots. I also saw some stuff that I wasn't really, I learned from those. I learned more probably from what not to do than what to actually do. Right, and when I saw the fitness industry, when it was a big 90% what not to do, I was like, "There's a lot of room for improvement here." So it was really tantalizing to create something that's like about professional development, helping the trainer build either their brand or just themselves in general. Like that will correlate over to your brand if you can personally develop and get stronger, get smarter, enhance your life from that perspective, and the rest will be, you'll develop those habits forever. Yeah. You can be, whether you start to manage or you say you want to continue in the fitness industry or you don't, you'll have the tools to be successful. And that's what I had to do that by myself.
And I think
not by myself, but I had certain good people around, but you have to be really, really self-motivated in the fitness industry to be successful.
And here's the thing that you do within this building and we do within this building is most people that are saying what you're doing.
Put everybody in a bad mood.
Scott was an hour late for the podcast today. I was not happy.
I was napping.
He was napping and I was at home, getting ready, making food, rushing here. I get here and I'm it's 3:15. It's like I have, anyways.
I had a big week, all right?
We had a big week, yeah, but so did I. You did more, yes, but I had a big week too.
I didn't do more.
Anyways, I'm going to get back into this. Is the thing I find that is different in this building and is great is the fact that you don't focus on taking money from a trainer to learn how to be more professional and more like, all those online coaches like make more money, do all this, right? It's like you don't pride
I'm not
yourself.
looking to fill my pockets
Exactly.
on
With those
success.
little tiny, like to pay $150 a month and I'm going to make you famous. And it's like, what's the point? Like, I want to make you a better trainer for the client base that's coming in, right? Like, you're more thinking the customer and making sure that they're becoming better, right?
Yeah, I want to put in the time now to prove to trainers that what we have tangibly is effective. And then like like I said, that money stuff, like, we're doing it our way, but like I said, I'm not looking to take from trainers in a certain position. I'm looking to help them.
That's what makes you different.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I don't disagree with that, because that's kind of what you see. People are a lot of like, they try to sell this package and sell this. And the plan is to, at some point, create an educational platform so we can, make some obviously revenue off of it, but not until it's tried, tested, and true, and we can prove to trainers and show like this is valuable, that what we're doing here is valuable, and it will help you for sure. It helped me, but I had to see if it was going to help other people. You were the first person that I kind of wanted to, implement it with and kind of see it, and it takes a little bit of time, and like that's the hard part about the business understanding is like this is real. This isn't. I'm not selling anything that. I'm not aiming to sell something that's quick. I'm not aiming to sell something that's going to make it. It's going to work for some people and it's going to not. But if you put in the time and you ask the right questions and stay with us, you will be successful. You will see some things in this industry that aren't out there. You will be an example of what it will be to be professional and elite, in my opinion.
But even with like, we say it with diets and fitness trends, it's like we want a quick fix. Same thing with business owners, right?
Yeah.
Or people
I'm
that
not
come into
into
this
that life,
industry
right?
is they don't understand. They're like, oh, I want a quick fix. I want to make like $10,000 like per month. It's like, yo, like what would you do with $10,000
Start
per
with
month?
making 1,000.
Yeah, like what would you do with $10,000 per month? Like, would you invest it? Would you help your clients like, with getting merch, or like would you supply other things for your clients? Like, what would you do with $10,000? And that's what I don't understand when people are like, oh, I made $10,000 in 3 months. It's like, okay, but now what? Like, slow and steady with business is also what's going to get you successful. You never hear about someone that's like, well, you do, but like
Why would anybody, like, okay, fine, you bring it up, in my personal opinion, I talked to some folks, why would you vocalize your financial success publicly anyway?
Because you actually don't make that much money.
Yeah, which is like, why am I going to talk about, like, that's a personal conversation that maybe you have those discussions with an individual, but to post publicly, like, I made X or I did X, just to, what do you think they're trying to sell you? They're trying to sell you the fact that you want to make more money and that I can show you how to make more money. This stuff has been going on for years.
It's no different than diet trends.
They market it a little bit better. The videography is a lot better, and they try to make it a little bit more authentic in some way, but it's all the same stuff. However, like, if the person believes it, they believe it. It is what it is.
And they purchase it.
Yeah, like not everybody's meant to be successful in business. And if, in my opinion, if your mind is like that, you're gonna have a very, very hard time. That means you don't have a purpose and you're just looking to get money.
That's the thing, is you have to have a purpose and a why.
Yeah,
it goes back to everything we talked about in the beginning.
If you don't want to solve a problem, and if you don't personally want to get better, if you don't thrive off of like, I want to raise my bar and I want to level up, this won't make sense.
Yep.
So you can't apply this to a person who wants a quick fix. It won't work, and I won't even sell it to you. So that's definitely a big difference thing moving forward, is like, with our situation, it's not for people who are just looking to like make a quick couple of bucks. The brand's not for that, right? The whole point was to put it in another category, right? Take away, the industry is what it is. Like what happened before and who got certified before and why people got certified, that's up to them. But we don't have to perpetuate the exact same standards that once were. The whole point was to raise the standards so high that, and I had to lead by example, and you're doing that, and everybody in here is doing that. So, that was the big thing. It's just, man, if we're gonna do something, and I told my dad, like, if I'm gonna get into business in some nature, I'm pushing it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like sit back and just be like, oh, I'm just gonna run. No, I'm gonna push it, and I'm gonna go hard, and I'm gonna show what I can do. I gotta prove to myself what I can do, but I want to show like, you got to walk the walk. So if I want a trainer to elevate their game, I got to be elevating my game every single day, every single week, right? So, and it takes habit, but again, a lot of it stuff is ingrained. So again, if you're ever a trainer who wants to kind of push it and do something completely different, man, you can give a hold of us anytime. You can direct message us, and like I said, we'd like to help you out in any way we can.
I'm actually pumped because I have 2 clients that are actually becoming personal trainers.
See, that's the
I'm
awesome
pumped.
thing.
Like one girl
Love
messaged me the
this,
other
by
day, and
way.
she just
And you know what?
Yeah.
2 people who can do it.
And yeah, this one
That's the
girl,
cool
she's
thing.
like, you know, she came in and she's like, oh yeah, I'd like to be a personal trainer. I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, you can do it. Like, you know, and I'm
Yep.
pumped. And she messaged me yesterday and she was like,
And
so
it's
grateful.
more than their fitness level too. Like, it's more
It's
than
her
their fitness level.
determination and her backstory. She got a freaking, oh my God, I cannot wait.
Yep.
She'll be on this podcast for sure. This girl's backstory, I learned it the other day. Scott, I know has known for a bit, but I just discovered her whole backstory and I'm like, damn, you're going to transform some
Yeah, man.
lives. She's going to literally crush some lives.
Adversity, man.
Yeah, she's got like that. She's got, what is that? She's got grit. She's got adversity. She's gonna be authentic. She's no bullshit.
She's one of
and
those people that you
she's
could have
fit,
gone.
like-
You could have gone either way. You can
Yeah.
choose to use your story as something as a crutch, or you can choose to use your story and as
and
motivation.
I've been
fuel,
training
so.
her for like what 3 months now, and I just learned her story. We only we do 30-minute sessions, so it's hard to chat. But I was like, one day it was like 10 minutes after a session. I'm like, oh, sorry, like, but she's gonna be an awesome trainer. I'm excited to see what she can do.
Yeah, and like I said, the hard part is sometimes like sharing your story with people so you can, you know, inspire others who have kind of walked in that same
Yeah.
situation. I had a hard time with it with my sickness. I didn't want to talk about that at all.
Yeah.
So, like I said, but that's great.
That was the number one thing I
A lot
said.
of
I'm like,
potential,
use your story.
a lot of
Yeah, so I'm
potential, but
pumped that my
that's-
clients are becoming personal trainers.
Yeah, same thing. Cash got a couple clients, and
Yep.
like they fit it, and I'm like, this is what the opportunity of what we want to provide is an inspiration to be like, you can, like, not for everybody, but if you are seeking it, like, you can do this. This
Yeah.
is what our place is for development.
Yeah.
Like I said, Grace Sloan Memorial, like we're a teaching studio.
Well, yeah.
We
yeah.
are a studio that you come in and like I said, everybody has the right to learn, develop, and grow. And anybody who wants to impede on that, like you're just not a fit here.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about the one person. It's about everybody having success, sharing knowledge, sharing their experiences so we can diversify our skill sets and get
Yeah.
better. That's the whole key. I've learned so much from like the younger demographic. Like we got, you know, such an array of people that, you know, what's in, how they tick, how they move, like what motivates them, what's demotivating, what's stressing them out right now. You know what I mean? Like, so like I said, you can get so caught in your own thing. Sometimes you got to stop, take a step back and look in because of what's stressing you out.
Yeah.
Right? From like a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, like
Yeah.
what's tripping you? Right? So it's kind of key. I got one for you.
Sure.
I kind of want to hear like a summary and a briefing of the knack story of this building. Because I think I saw a photo the other day again, which is like when you first started and just, I love the photos because it's just so gritty and that's just where things start. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just like, and I love the look of it. I almost like love the look of it for the gym. Like I look, I'm like, but in a way I'd like to go back to that almost because it's got a grittiness to it that like made it kind of cool.
You mean blank walls?
Well, whatever.
Blank
It's blank
canvas?
walls, concrete. It's like it's not like luxurious.
Okay,
but it's
so
kind of like
I'll
it's
give
almost
you-
like it has that like it's endearing. It has
It's
this like
cute.
it has this like endearing look of like.
To be
kind of
honest,
badass. So give me the knack story. When did you get
it's funny
into
because I have an
this
environment story for you too. So our
building?
friend-
McLean Street, Southside Poco.
So basically, I was in Vegas with my girlfriend, and I looked online, and I was in the other building. So I had 400 square feet. I was up above
So
my
you're
girlfriend.
looking to grow.
I was looking to grow
spaces.
and I logged into my app to see how many people were in this 400 square foot space. And I was coming home the next day, and it was like I had like 20 people registered in 400 square feet. I'm like, I looked at my girlfriend, I'm like, I have no idea how I'm gonna get 20 people into 400 square feet. She's like, well, time to grow. And I'm in Vegas, and so I'm in Vegas, like looking at real estate.
Well, quick Setchel question. Was Setchel training with you? Did you meet Steph Setchel after?
She was already training with me.
So
yeah.
she was working with you. So she had, okay, so she was the one who kind of linked you up with.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that in a second. So anyway,
Setch.
So anyway, so I'm like, okay, so I started looking and I found a couple places. So I got home the next day and I immediately went to work. I emailed, a bunch of people and I said to Steph, I'm like, here's the situation. I'm looking for a space. I don't have any more room for 400 square feet. And she's like, okay, perfect. So I found this building. And I walked in and I like, in my head, the thing my dad always said was like, don't act too excited. I'd already gone through
Yeah,
buying
yeah.
a condo.
Yeah, yeah.
And like in my head, I was like, I want this place so bad. So there was like, and I walk in and I'm like, yeah, it looks good. I'm like, okay, a little bit
reaction.
dirt. Like I'm trying to find like bad things. Like, oh, it's a little bit dirty. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I asked the story. Actually, the guy who owned it before, he passed away and that's why it went up so quickly. So they had to rent it out. So I'm like, okay, so the guy walks out of the building. We walk out of the building to my car. I'm like calling Steph Setchel, like the phone's in my lap so the guy can't see. I'm like, Steph, I got it. This place is great. I'm like, it's $2,000 a month. I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, let's go. And I'm like all excited about this. And so she's like, all right. She's like, let's write it up. She's like, let's wait. I'm like, I don't want to wait because if it goes, it goes.
Yeah, fair
So
Well, you know what? Now as we see, like you so could have waited.
I so could have waited.
Like-
Now that we know things, I so could have waited, but I was like determined, right? So I'm like, okay, good.
Fair enough.
So
Fair
it
enough.
was, I'm not even joking you, the amount of
Hindsight's
times.
2020, right?
The amount of, I think this is why I like the Gilnetter. The amount of times that Steph Setchel and I met at the Gilnetter to go over lease agreements and read through it and go yes, and then they would come back with no, and then we go yes, and they
Side
come back
question:
with no.
was the Gilnetter in Poco Monopoly?
I don't know. I can't talk about that right now. I didn't get the Poke Monopoly. If anyone has one, I want one.
Buyer.
Buyer, I need it. I'm a Poke girl. I want it.
$1,000.
So anyway, so Steph and I went back and forth, and then we finally got this place. And so that was like in May. It took all of May to get it. Finally, like the last day of May, we finally got it. We're moving in. We were going to get the keys July 1st, and then we could officially, legally move in July 18th. So that was
2016?
2016, yeah.
Okay.
2016. So
Jays were in the playoffs that year.
2016, I will never forget the day. So anyways, we move, and I'm not joking you, the first couple of days we trained in here, we were like, we all use like this little tiny space, and everyone's like, we know we have all this space, right?
Yeah.
The walls were painted white, so my dad, me, my friend.
Was there flooring at this time? Because
Yep, flooring was up. So the minute I got it, I paid for flooring right away. So I knew that flooring was important.
I saw a photo that had, it was just the concrete floor, and then there was,
it was
a photo shoot of like, there was
because I wanted
Alana
to do.
was in the front.
Yeah, we
Laura's
wanted to
in the
do.
photo.
We wanted to do a photo shoot before we got in here. So I'm like, okay, let's do a photo shoot before we go in here. Perfect. And that was kind of like, I'm like, we're gonna do this photo shoot. I'm like, I'll tell you where it is. I didn't tell the girls. I wanted to like surprise the girls that were in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Like, or the other place like that I had this space, right? So I'm like, we're gonna do this photo shoot outside. They're like, oh, okay, where? I'm like, well, like there's this park by like McLean. So I didn't even tell them. And so they walk in, I'm like, do you guys like it? And they're like, are we training here? I'm like, yeah, this is the new space. So I kind of like did it like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm kind of just,
you got a flair for the dramatics too.
I like
so
a flair, so I wanted to like, anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm like, just meet me at 1750, like McLean Avenue, and then we'll walk over there. And so they get there and they walk in and they're like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we're moving. And it was like so cool, so.
Yep. Well, it's funny how things work out.
But
'cause,
all
like,
we did was paint the walls and put mats down, and then I had weights everywhere. Like when I say everywhere,
post,
like
we should post that photo after this and show people kind of the one I'm talking about. But it's funny because like if it wasn't for this space, like, remember when I was talking about opening up a fit academy at some point,
Yeah.
and it was like, and my projected year was 2020.
oh well,
Yeah.
you're ahead of time.
Yeah, but like if I,
You would have been fucked.
oh yeah,
You would have been
right.
fucked.
So like time.
I would
was
have been.
there.
You know what? I would have been
Instead,
fucked
it was
too
a
because
2-year speed up. I went in 2018, and we start. You know, we.
I'm not
started-
joking. You had I still been in group fitness for 2020, I would have been done.
Yeah.
I would have been. I would have had
Group
to be.
fitness has been
I know
ceased to
it's
go.
done, but
The
like
model doesn't-
I would have done some really silly things and I would have burnt out. Like I'm not even gonna get into what I would. I know exactly what I would have done if I was group fitness.
My fans only page or whatever it's called. Or
No, I would have done. I would have taken as many
Knack
knack babes
fans.
as possible, and I probably would have ran 6 a.m. to like literally probably 10 p.m. and done 30-minute sessions and doubles.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I would have, and I would not have stopped. And I wouldn't have had any instructors, so I couldn't have paid them, and they were contractors, so it'd just be me, and I would literally
Well,
be
I
going.
mean, regardless, the business model is not conducive in a pandemic. That's
No,
all it is,
exactly.
Right? So you'd have been screwed. Like,
And I wouldn't have charged people. That's the worst thing. I would have charged people like, oh, just keep your like 150 membership a month,
Yeah.
and that would have been like, I would have been burnt out. I'd probably been like,
Yeah, it's a
mental
tough thing,
hospital,
right? When you can't run your model efficiently, like, you know, then that's when you
Yeah.
know. It's like, you know, I mean, a lot of restaurants, the cool thing about the certain sizes that they've been
Yeah.
able to flip to online orders, like, you know, so if you only have like a seating capacity of maybe like you know, that little sushi place close to my place.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like 15 people in there seating capacity, but they can
Sushi
do-
restaurants are killing it.
Oh, for
They're
sure.
the number one. I think they're like one of the businesses that are crushing it because all they do is takeout, right? They don't have to like, you know,
Yeah, like
and they're small.
Yeah, they're lean, right?
They're lean, right?
Yeah,
so they
it's
have.
lean
It's
and
usually like what, like
it's
mom
efficient.
and pa, like our families that are running it, and then it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Systematic, right? And just boom, they've got it.
Yeah,
They've
that's the
got it
story
down.
of Knack. So
Yeah,
that was it.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, it's great. There's,
Matt,
hey, there's a
and-
photo right there on the TV right
And
now.
I'm not even joking you. It was literally weights everywhere. Like I can't even like there was no squat. Well, there's squat racks. So I bought squat racks, bars, but I had
You bought everything.
okay eventually
Like,
over
you know,
time.
you
But
know
when
that-
we came in here, we literally like we were
Like, why do you have
lean.
92 wavy
I
bars?
had group fitness and
You
every
were thinking expansion. I like it. You were like, you know, think
whatever.
real-
Anyways, I'm done with that.
No, it's good, man. Like I said, I like those photos and just like the history of it because it's a cool spot, right? It's different. It's got its quirks, obviously, as we know.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's one of those like you gotta.
Yeah.
I like the startup space because you can put your interpretation on the
Yeah.
whole entire space. It's a blank canvas.
It's my safe haven. Like it's
Yeah.
my place of.
It's a blank
There's
canvas.
never a day I come in here and I'm like, "Ugh, I'm at work. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm like,
Yeah, it's a good spot.
It's like I walk in, I'm like, work. Like you know.
Well, it's still like I wouldn't go that far.
I do that.
Yeah, you do, but I wouldn't say at like 6 a.m. you're rolling like that.
Okay, well, for the most part, I'm very grateful to get here.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Anyways,
I'd say
moving
for
on.
the most part, for sure. It's definitely-
So I know that you said like we'll lead in this like environment is key because this is something I didn't really believe in because I believe that and you believe too that we can basically like it all depends on I believe that it's all depending on who the trainer is and how they make the client feel when it comes to being successful But you believe that environment is crucial. So music, color, energy, space. Like you believe more so
That's
that.
a business tactic, right? Like
Okay,
that's
so,
one
but
of
like-
those, it's like no, it's like things with businesses where it's like the hot towel, right? Like that's the like customer satisfaction.
The
type
Ritz
thing.
Carlton. So what are
Yeah.
three? So what are three like obviously?
ambiance of
Okay,
it
so
all.
what are three bad things to bring into an environment that would literally like harm a business? What are
Three
three
bad things.
Yeah.
Terrible energy.
Okay.
No consistency.
Okay.
No environment as far as like any type of vibe, if you can
Okay.
call it. Like it's if you, I've just been into so many businesses where I'm like, you just don't see the passion. You don't see the
True.
You don't
Yeah.
see the little things, and it's just running. And I'm like, that's just so not. I don't know. No judgment or nothing like that. Everybody's different, but you just seen that. And then whoever's in business for whatever reasons, that's where you start to learn a little bit more about money laundering.
Oh God.
Right? Like, well, you know
I
what I
had
mean? It's
people-
almost a direct sign in a way where you see a business that's going, but there's no systems, no
comment.
passion, no care, no nothing, and you're like, this is weird. How do you stay in business, right?
It was funny. Someone actually
Customer
asked me
satisfaction is just
when I was
on the
running
moon.
NAC. They're like, "Well, how do you make money?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" And they're like, "Well, do you launder money under there?" I'm like, "I don't make that much money." And I definitely what's money. I'm like, "What's money laundering?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's like you're like you can like shell money over from like overseas and keep it in your business." I'm like, "I'm sorry, like no, I definitely don't do that." Like, but thanks for coming out.
Well, you can perform something illegal and then channel it through something legal to make it. look,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And I'm like, "No, sorry, I don't do that."
Yeah. So no, yeah. It's
Okay, so what are three positives on environment that just like make a business like
somebody should walk into your place and know that it's alive. Like I don't know like what that is to people, but you should be able to walk in and be like, I'm somewhere.
okay?
Like you shouldn't be like, what's going on? It should be like, huh? Like you should be interested and intrigued when someone walks
And
in.
I think that's the greatest thing because I had a new assessment today, and she walked in. She's like, "This space is really cool." And
Yeah.
and Pat had someone too, and he's like, "Guy loved it." I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like of course he loved it. Like it's not a big box gym."
Yeah, so I guess like attention to detail too. Like
Yeah.
if you everywhere, like I said, our goal was like everywhere in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody looks somewhere, it's like someone's been there in a good way, not like oh that's been neglected. Like
Yep.
when you look at something that's been neglected, that just to me shows like a sign of interest, right?
Yeah.
So that's a sign of like a good sign, in my opinion, of a good culture or a good environment.
Good environment, good culture.
Obviously, the simple things of just are you greeted? Like, just, when do you walk in and
Yeah.
you're just like, just even just like, how's it going? Can I help? Like, you don't have to go extravagantly. And it's like, hey, like, it's just like you're acknowledged that you're here
Yeah.
and we see you. And like I said, if there's anything that we can do, like, 100% like that's key.
Yeah.
Like you need to acknowledge people, and I think sometimes because we're so caught in phones or whatever the case may be, it's like people can walk into businesses and just not be seen
Yeah.
or heard or whatever,
Yeah.
right? You don't got to bombard them, but as long as like, hey, how are you? Just little greeting. Hey, how are you?
And that's a hospitality thing too. Like we were just
Yeah.
like so.
You training with Cash? Oh, cool. Yeah, she'll be 5 minutes. Like,
I love
stuff
knowing
like that.
people's names. I love calling people by their names.
Yeah.
And it bothers me when I don't know names or like I think someone is a certain name. Like I don't want to say her name, but like I love knowing people's names.
It gives you a chance as a business too to like, you're gonna screw up and you're gonna make mistakes, and it's like when your culture is strong and your environment is great, like people are so much more lenient and accepting of like your flaws. And I think a lot of times like business owners try to act like we're this, you're this perfect thing. It's like, listen, man, like you screw up, you make mistakes, you make booking errors, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be. Like that's life.
Yeah.
But like the least you can do is own it, and then you provided such a good customer experience for those people that like they forgive you.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just because that's it. But if you inconvenience your customer constantly and you're like whatever the case may be, like you don't set yourself up to be able to make a mistake. They're gonna bounce on you as soon as you do because they're waiting for one little faulty step because you put your customer's time second, or you make sure, say the customer feels that they're like almost like I'm inconveniencing you kind of thing, right? Like so, and we don't ever want to have that. Like when you're here, this is like the place this is your place. This is our place, but you're part of it now. And like I said, it's just as much yours as it is ours, right?
Cool.
So put in time, put in money, and put in the effort. And like I said, that's what a tribe is, culture. So I was gonna ask about culture and environment. I was gonna flip it to you basically because that was one of my questions. Is what are some places that like restaurants or clothing brands or anything that who goes above and beyond from a culture perspective that's notably to you or notable to you? Right, because some businesses do an unbelievable job of it, and like
Okay, so restaurant wise, I'm not joking. The Arms.
yeah, absolutely.
They know my name, and I'm like I'm
Top
barely
notch.
there, but they acknowledge me or
World
like
class.
so I like that. I actually met
Because
this
I
like
never go, but
I love when someone interacts with me in a store that I frequent. I don't know why, if it's like a consumer thing or whatever, but like there are certain stores I always go to. Shoppers I get my makeup from. Lululemon, obviously, I shop all the time. Save On I go to all the time. And so I go to the Shoppers all the time. And there's
Sushi
always
place.
Sushi. I love the sushi lady.
Yeah.
Like she's like, there's these, and I want to be acknowledged the way I acknowledge people. So I like when people, they don't need to know my name, but they need to like remember me.
Yeah.
Is that like
That one
ego?
woman legit remembers your order.
Oh yeah, I like call and she's like, I'll call and I'll forget hot sauce. She's like, oh, do you want hot sauce? I'm like, yes, I do. And she'll laugh. She's like, how are you? I'm like, good. So she knows who I am because she's like, oh, and hot sauce, right? Because I order the same thing every time. I'm very consistent with that.
Yeah.
You know, and like I went into Shoppers the other day and it was funny because I met this girl and she was wicked. Like she was Italian. She saw my Italian keychain and she's like, the hot pepper, and she's like, oh my God, you're Italian, you're from Calabria. And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? She's like, your keychain, me too. And so we ended up talking and I was like, at the end of it, she's like, bye. And she's like, what's your name? I'm like, Liz. And I'm like, nice to meet you, Rosanna. And like, I like literally always go there. We'll go there. And I'm kind of sad when I don't see her there.
Yeah, some people have a knack for it, right?
Yeah, Saturday mornings at, like,
certain
Saturday mornings.
employees do. Certain businesses really put a lot of
But I
emphasis
know
on
she
it.
doesn't own the Shoppers. Like I know she's just in makeup, but like her engagement with clients, she really likes her job. I guess loving your job would be good. And that's why like a lot of people at Lululemon, they're very involved with the culture, and that's why I like going there because they're like, what do you need? I'm like, you know what, I'm looking for the 100 trains, try these ones. I'm like, oh, I don't like this color, try these ones. Liz, how you doing? Your name's on the door. Again, I'm acknowledged. So I need a business to acknowledge me, and I think that's why
Lulu's
try
a great example. I mean,
your name's on the door, they know who you are. Like
I know a few clients like when they talk about Lulu and then they have some experiences and you're like, that's like a couple male clients too who go and like how they know how we are is so funny because like us as male shoppers, it's hilarious. And like what Lululemon does to basically satisfy the male, it's spot on.
Yeah.
Like it's just, we will pay to avoid more steps like crazy, and Lulu just eliminates certain things like how size doesn't fit, they're going and grab another one, right? You don't have to leave your thing.
Yeah.
Right, and that's so smart because if we leave, we're gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to try on another pair, but if you go grab it while I'm here, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, so you put on your pants, go out.
So
grab
that's why it's
another
funny
pair.
because
So
like when
they-
I go
they
to
have it
like
down.
some of these like small boutique places and they're like, you know, I can think of 2 little places that are clothing stores and they just don't have it. And I'm like, if you don't make it
That's
through
the
the
thing, right?
pandemic, like I don't blame you. Like, you
But
know,
that's-
there's no.
Lululemon's the reason. It's not like because they made a great pair of pants that they are where they are. Like there's so many steps to building a great company and a company of that size. Like it is not just one thing.
And now is the time, like,
Right,
to make
so-
sure that you know your customers, your clientele, what they need, and engage in people because you have fewer customers coming in.
Yeah, you guys, it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, this pandemic's been a grind. It's been like an absolute marathon and extra pushes here
Yeah.
and there, right? So, you know, people getting tired, but that's where you gotta somehow like have that internal check-in and tighten up the bootstraps and wash your face with some cold water and get back in the game, right? Because there's nobody's gonna help you but you.
No.
Nobody's gonna help your business but you. Even us as a person, like, you know, got to be somehow develop that accountability for yourself because, like I said, there's no warm blanket coming, that's for sure. So it's the nature of the gig. You want to throw one at me or?
Yeah, I want to talk about side hustles. I feel like this is a totally different story, a totally different podcast.
The old SH.
SH. Side hustles is obviously like a huge thing right now for people to have side hustles and like be a full-time, you know, X, Y, and Z, and then like do a side hustle to make more money, and all they're looking for is to making more money. They don't understand the purpose of the side hustle. So what is your thoughts on side hustle, and can a side hustle be successful actually, or is it someone's like, I'm successful in my side hustle, I make $100 a month? Like, what
Your
is
side
success?
hustle essentially is probably the most prototypical way of kind of building a business. So let's say if somebody you have your career, right? So let's say the pragmatic way to take a side hustle is you have your career, you're not necessarily overly stoked about it, you have your hobby. So basically what you try to do is convert your hobby into something, but you like to see the ratios. You're 100% in your career, then you go 90-10, and then hopefully you see 80-20, and then you can see your hobby hopefully becoming more efficient, and then maybe you can carry that over to a career, but you have to have that ratio kind of progress, right? But like people do a side hustle, again, like you're right, they have their thing, and then it's like, well, now I have another side hustle. It's like, well, that's not working financially, that's not working. So if I have 4 things that do, I think sometimes the logic is if I have 4 things that do X, Y, Z, whatever financially, it'll all mathematically work out to this number here.
Yeah.
So like, but the tough thing is with all those things on the go, like, do you do any one of those things excellently? Or is it all just done at like a 3 out of 10? So, and that doesn't get it done. So each one of those things is on the trajectory of failure because you're not going all in or running them efficiently or whatever you want to call it, right? So that's where like the side hustle, I think like if you do it in a certain way, it can be successful for sure. I think if you try to like have and this is just my personal opinion from like what I've seen over the last few years, like, you know, photography, personal training, some online e-commerce setup of some nature, and then maybe and you try to just like work that ratio, and you don't really do each one well, because each one of those takes work.
Oh yeah.
Right? But you can have all 4 on the go, but say you have nutrition as one of them too, and it's like, man, maybe you might want to hammer one of those, right? Or 2, and then let the others kind of whatever. So yeah, it can definitely, you can do movement, confuse that classic movement with progress type thing if you have too much on the go. But I think that is what people think. They try to get a certain amount of revenue out of these 4 streams, because you hear about that, right? Like generate revenue streams, right? But revenue streams is just a term, but at the same time, it's like there's effective revenue. Like, is it running effectively?
I think these new age people that are using this side hustle saying like, oh, like we have to have 7 or multiple revenue streams. It's like, yeah, we have to understand that the people that are millionaires or have like houses, they have investments, and those are the revenue streams. They're not like doing like they're not doing like they're not selling supplements, and then they're not like going into like I don't know, like there are other revenues of
effective revenue stream, let's say for example, would be like, say we have our business here, and then we have us going on, and then we have an education platform that people pay for outside, so they're getting educated through systems of videos and a series that we have. That could be an effective revenue stream that's attached to your business. We could also maybe have a partnership with a meal prep company that works with us in correlation. So those things could be potentially effective revenue streams because they connect it up. But when you do things in 4 separate industries, like I'm a marketer here, I'm a whatever here,
like a brand consultant,
and then I do Uber here, and it's like that's not the most effective way to have revenue streams. Maybe do 2, but rocking 3 or 4, like good luck, right? Good luck. There's only so much time in the deck. It's ineffective from a time perspective. I mean, how are you gonna have a life, right? But I mean, you got to do what you got to do. If that's what you want to do, go for it. Go for it. Right? It's just personal choice. I just want to work smarter, not work harder. You know, like I said, the body and the mind, and like I said, when you can hone in and have these dots connected, it just looks like a nice looking picture, right? Opposed to like, oh, I got this piece here, this looks different. You got to change your personality types and alter your skill sets. So I'm not that good.
Yeah, no, I'm not that
smart.
I can barely do nutrition and fitness at the same time. So
that's all for me, right? I'm gonna ask if you could give one piece of advice to, I'm gonna hone in, a dance mom or a dance facility on how to for nutrition, for let's say nutrition for the ages of, let's say 12, let's go even younger, let's go 10 to 17. Like, how would you kind of get young girls in a dance environment? What mindset would you like them to have in regards to nutrition?
It's tough because they go all day, right? So it's like,
oh yeah.
And then the mom's usually going all day too, because they normally have like 1 or 2 kids in dance, or like a kid in dance, a kid in soccer. So it's like,
it's all day.
It's all day. So it's a lot of the parent helping the child understand as well. And I think that nutrition should be a focus in the dancer world, because they're so used to going to Subway, getting sushi, going to Starbucks, all those kind of things, things that are quickly by, like, grabbing a sandwich, all that kind of stuff, instead of actually meal prepping like we do per se as adults, or as like the parent would do as well, right? So I think introducing your child at a young age on what's going to fuel their bodies in regards to dancing better. So it's okay, you want to be an elite dancer at 18? Great. We got to fuel your body properly, right? And I think that integrating some sort of nutrition program into the school and it being on the dance school itself might actually help the dancers.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Right, it's like,
cool to see.
I had a dancer here the other day, and one of the food things came up, and it was like avocado. It was the avocado, quinoa, and egg thing. She's like, "Oh my god, that looks so good!" And it's like, like it would be great if there was some sort of meal prep program that we could be like, okay, this dance school is going to work with this meal prep company. You're going to bring meals here, and the kids can eat that meal instead.
Connect the dots.
Dots, right? Because I know that studio owners.
We both work for dance schools.
Yeah, and then the studio owners want something. They just like, they're so busy, and the teachers are so busy because they're usually contracted out, and they're doing different schools, and it's like, how do you talk about that with the kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, when I know when I'm starving, it's like the first thing I'm thinking about, like, how much food can you get in my body, right? Like, I'm not thinking about like, is this healthy? I'm thinking like, I'm so hungry.
Yeah, you're hungry.
Like, I'm hungry,
100%. Right? Yeah, it's true.
Full day of training. I'm hungry. Like, what am I gonna eat? Like.
Yeah, because every dance school I've ever worked with, they're so pushed, and it's like, you know, you feel so bad for them because they work so hard, right? And it's hours, and like there's, you know, like I said, I worked for one where there's Dairy Queen across the street. They would like run, grab Blizzards, bolt on. You're just like, man, how are we gonna? But you feel bad because they're working so hard.
They're working
you're
so
like, you
hard.
know,
They're
you
burning so
deserve
many
a treat.
calories. But
I'm like, man, right now it's like we got a training session at 7 p.m. and you just, you know, crushing a Blizzard. I'm like, man, like,
You're not
that's not
gonna
gonna
feel
feel good.
very good.
That's not, but their little gut's gonna handle it now, right?
Yeah.
But ideally, it'd be nice if there's, it's interesting to see for sure.
But it is hard, and I think that it would be great to see some sort of nutrition program, but not just with dance, with every, like, you know, soccer players as well. Like, it's great soccer players. I think like what they bring, juice boxes, orange juice.
Well,
like each
different.
parent
It's
has
funny
something.
'cause,
I
like,
think
dance, soccer, and like all these other field sports, like
you get
it's
things
so,
brought, don't you?
No, that's the thing is like you
they
kind of
did.
like you're
had
not.
orange slices.
I think that the unique thing about dance and like say like martial arts is like you have like a studio, right? Where like football and all the stuff outside, it's like you don't have like you're outdoors, so you're either eating before your family is like your family's huge with how you eat and how you fuel, so it's like you're kind of get dropped off there, you do your thing, and then you head back. So then it's kind of up to like this. So it's not like you're at the field for like
Whereas the
from
dance
2
studio, you're
o'clock
there
to
from,
like
like,
8 o'clock.
yeah, the dance
right?
studio.
So you're there for, I don't know, practices, let's say football a couple hours, like whatever. Everything else maybe like an hour and a half. So you're fueled, and then you go with your family. Right, so but yeah, these other cultures, it's like what they get there after school, and they're there what?
They're there for like 8
9,
hours.
right?
Like,
so,
some of the Breezy's there for like 8 hours, 1 to
yeah,
like
so
10.
it's a bit of its own unique environment, right? Which is super cool. Yeah, a lot of little young athletes in there. It's cool to see the, you know, we got a few little dance gals kicking around here, so
I do.
doing well, kicking A, looking great. Anything else?
No, I just have some quick fires.
Lay it on me.
What is the hardest decision you've had to make? Hardest business decision you've had to make. My bad.
Hardest business decision I've ever had to make. Hardest, probably like anytime you have to transition, like out.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
every time like
Okay.
it hurts, but it's always worth it,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like God, I've had to like leave some teams that I'm like, there really is no reason to leave other than for personal growth and development, and it's just
Mm-hmm. Yep.
like knowing that you need to see more is important, and that's what I've always put ahead. So anytime you have to leave a team that you really like, or that stuff sucks. You know, but at the same time, like you gotta do what you gotta do to grow and develop, and hopefully, it's like I think playing sports definitely helped me make those decisions in work and business.
Okay.
Because you know that like you can't be with everybody forever, right? So, but yeah, tough business decision, probably just any type of
Transitioning out.
any type of transition is always tough, but it's always been worth it.
Yeah.
Always has been worth it. There's never been a time where I've regretted moving around or whatever.
Go ahead.
I don't have any rapid fire questions.
How did I have any rapid fire questions?
I don't know. I couldn't really think of any this week. Like I was like,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay,
I was
wow.
like kind of stuck. I was gonna ask one about.
Make
Yeah,
that
I
up on the
just-
spot now.
yeah. Well, you can. Well,
Okay.
what about you? Give me a business. I'll just parlay off of yours. What about your business? Tough businesses you got. You know.
I think the hardest business decision was transitioning from group to personal training.
For sure.
To this day, right? Like there's a lot of decisions I've had to make business-wise, you know, being in the restaurant industry and then like getting out of it. That was an easy one, but I think that it was a lot of like back and forth. There was actually a list of like benefits of group and benefits of personal training and being with Scott and then like being on my own. And I'm sorry, but like the benefits with you, like it was like group, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then here it was like, woo, like,
Well,
you know, like,
it's hard to see from a list because sometimes it's like.
but I made a list and I was like, no, I'm
Well,
sorry.
but
Like the list.
I know you're a list person, but like
I'm such a list
sometimes like
person.
it's like it's 50-50 and you just gotta pick.
No, it wasn't 50-50. It was
No,
like,
but, like,
a
in life,
dominant,
sometimes
like,
with decisions,
go
it's
with
just-
Scott versus here, right?
You go with something and it's not necessarily it's not guaranteed to work out, but that's the thing, you can analyze it but yeah, no, it's
But it
tough.
was funny because we talked
transition
about,
was crazy. Like it was
It was
I knew it
insane.
was going to be a lot of work.
That's a whole podcast for you.
Oh,
But
yeah,
I think it was
that's
funny because a lot of people called me and they're like, you know, like you're the only female business owner and you know it, your brand. And then we go back to
Yeah.
the brand thing
Yeah.
this week and we talked about it. And it was like, yeah, but your brand's only so as good as you. I'm like, I am failing by myself. So I need help. Like I need to reinvent myself and I can't reinvent myself when I'm, you know, I can't reinvent myself by myself. So I need to reinvent myself.
Yep.
And it's working. Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about
How was
it.
that?
It was a great business model, like the all women's group, like, and honestly, like, as things are going, we're pretty much like that it's just me.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Pat's coming in as a male, but like, it's pretty much like an all women's,
Yeah.
predominantly all female personal training
It
business.
was easier
We're
towards the
85% female.
It was easier towards the end because I was getting a lot of females because my care for clients was always there, like their injuries and all that kind of stuff. I always modified, and I think like one day I looked around and I had 10 people in class and 10 different exercises going on because someone had a knee injury, a back injury, a shoulder injury, an arm injury, a core injury, an ankle mobility issue. And I'm like, I'm running 10 different groups right now. I'm like, I literally stopped the class, like, this is why I'm going to personal training. I have 10 of you doing 10 different exercises.
Yeah,
we
it's
don't
chaotic.
mind. I'm like, oh, I know you don't mind because I'm modifying. I mind because I have to make sure I go around and explain everything to you guys. And now your class is going to be an hour and a half and not an hour. And I think that's when I was like, I am making the right decision.
Yeah,
It was a
there's
class
no
of 10
systems,
people.
right?
I'm like,
That's all it
I am
was.
making the right decision. I have 10 of you who are all injured and I have to modify 10. This is why personal training happens.
This could be an all-female model, like no doubt about it.
Yeah.
As long as like, and the whole thing was, if the systems are in place, like when you know implement the systems to run things effectively, have your boundaries set, have your core values. You have to have in business, no matter what it is, you have to have a set of this line's crossed. There has to be like a something that needs to be
Yeah.
done. Like there's no like when you have subjective. That's what core values are for. Like when you have an operations manual, like you don't want to have like certain policies, but you have to have standards and you have to have boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's like there's things that this environment has, and we can't have this type of behavior or whatever inside because that causes toxicity within or whatever. It disrupts things, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The place has to be the safe haven for people, right? If you want to come in, it's like, but if you want to like disrupt it and if it's about you and whatever, then no, that's not a. But not saying like that was that, but. Like I said, that's where the whole boundaries comes in. Quick fire, anything else?
Yeah. Favorite ice cream flavor?
You know, it's actually really good. It's like a mixture of vanilla and strawberry.
Okay.
Like if you can kind of like, you know.
So your vanilla ice cream then with pure strawberries inside, basically.
Hey, well, yeah, like I mean, obviously, like ice cream is there a bad ice cream flavor?
Yeah, there is.
Other than, like, that tiger.
The maple one. I don't know. My sister's boyfriend likes it. It's like pecan maple. I'm like, who likes pecan maple?
I don't know. It's
He's
probably
like,
all right. Put a little fudge on it.
And mint. I hate mint ice cream.
Who dislike that either?
I hate
I didn't
mint
like
ice
it when I was younger, but like that's my dad's like my dad's favorite is bubble gum.
Ugh, also
Yeah.
terrible flavor. I'm like a vanilla girl.
So
Like, I want
I
vanilla.
didn't get ice cream as a kid because it was like bubble gum or like he likes bubble gum and that tiger, whatever it was. So it's so easy to pass. Like meh.
Yeah. Anything with nuts. Nuts in my ice cream bother me. Like I'm like a nutty kind of person, but like I don't like nuts in my ice cream.
I like nuts.
If you could speak one language, what would you speak?
One language.
Fluently.
Fluently, I'd probably say Spanish.
I was in
Yeah, if I could just fluently speak Spanish,
Yeah.
that'd be amazing. I'd do
Cool.
that. What about you?
Italian.
Italiano. Eh?
Yeah.
Cool.
Italian, except for I'd probably like mix my French accent with my Italian accent, and someone would probably get mad.
Oh, whatever. I like World War times when you saw like in like you know I know I'm a bit of a war history person, like how like a lot of people spoke like German, French, English.
Yep.
And like they're able to speak like the European languages of the let's
Yep.
say the dominant European cultures is cool. Even Americans, like they you know there was Americans that spoke 3 different
Yep.
languages because of you know, so it wasn't just like a European thing.
That's it. I'm done.
Rock on. Episode 6.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Happy
Have a great
Saturday,
weekend,
guys.
guys. Happy Saturday.